Hey, let's look at some dating advice that is going to be a little bit changing our perception of how early dating should go. And I'm going to credit this video to Matthew Hussey and Elderly Advice 100. So the first one has to do with whether a man should approach a woman. And I've made a lot of videos about that, and I'm going to walk it back. I don't think that we should wait for men to approach us. I don't. As Matthew Hussey says, I'm going to link the videos in the description and pin it to the comments for these two gentlemen. Matthew Hussey is right. The only men that approach are the players. There are some men that will approach every woman. There are some men that will approach all the women they're interested in, which is just about every woman. There's some men who will never approach, and there's some men who will wait for the right opportunity. And the right opportunity rarely presents itself. You might be walking out of a coffee shop with a coffee looking like you're in a hurry. You might be on your phone. The church and the gym. A lot of men have told me I would never date a woman ask a woman out from church or the gym, because I don't want to be known as the creepy guy who's just chasing tail at church, or if that lady breaks up with me, then I'm known as the guy at church who goes after women, for example. And the Me Too movement, and they don't want to face rejection, and so on. And we women have copped out by requiring men to take all the risk financially and emotionally. I'm going to link a third video from this other gentleman I watched tonight, talking about how he and his buddy were in Tokyo just hanging out, and he learned the ropes of how to get these girls, and this girl hooked up with him, and afterwards she said, "Do you want to see a picture?" And she showed him a picture of her boyfriend. And the next day this guy happened to run into her boyfriend on the Navy ship that he was working on. Anyway, a lot of women are very sketchy, they cheat, and they're entitled. And I think part of us expecting the man to take all the risk is a little bit entitled. We were taught wrong. In fact, there's a book I just ordered about it. Let me show you the book. It's called Make Your Move. I haven't read it yet. But it's also about a woman making the first move. Now, making the first move doesn't mean that you get super aggressive and chase the guy and become like the pursuer in the relationship. Making your move is just showing your interest. And that's something that women have done throughout the years, throughout history. They might tell a neighbor, "Hey, I'm interested in this guy. Will you let him know?" Or she might smile at him or drop her handkerchief as he walks by, and so on. And I think we women have become a little bit entitled. Some of us, inadvertently, not knowing, not understanding that it's up to us to signal our interest. I think that's good because, first of all, why should only the man deal with rejection? We have to be able to deal with it also. Second, when women reject men, they're pretty rude. When men reject us, they're really not that rude. Every time I've asked a man out for coffee or so on, and I've tried it, they're so flattered. They are so flattered. And other times, they're kind of taken off guard. Like, I've experimented lately with just starting a conversation with a man. The other day I was at the grocery store, and there was a big thing of oranges outside, and this woman and this man, not together, were already going through some oranges. I'm like, this guy could be cute. I'll initiate a conversation. What am I going to say? And I was just started asking something about the oranges and talking to both of them, and he kept looking at me, and I was kind of looking at him. And then as we were going through the store, he was kind of looking at me a little bit. I didn't do anything more with it because I was like not sure if I wanted anything more from him other than just practicing starting a conversation with a man. And it was very easy to do in the grocery store. And of course, he was probably way thrown off, and he wasn't going to ask for my number. So I don't really, I'm just kind of starting to practice now, just being aware, just like I'm being more aware of my sleep. And progress is good, so I'm proud of myself. But the idea being that we as women really ought to, as Matthew Hussey said, be easy in the first 5 seconds. All right, be easy in the first 5 seconds. Signal our interest to a man. And I mean, there are other ways to do it I'm shy to do, like smiling at him, holding eye contact for a few seconds longer. To me, that seems really forward. I would rather just start a conversation like, what kind of coffee do you like? Or, what do you think about the weather? Just start a conversation about anything. I think it's good for us ladies to do that, so that the way men don't have to take all the risk. I know I knew this lady who was married to this guy. She was pretty happy with him, and she met him. They were working on something work related or volunteering related, and he was buying the tickets. She was selling the tickets for this fundraiser, and he called her to buy a ticket. He was just calling her because she was the contact point for the ticket, but she'd had her eye on him. And so after he bought the ticket, she said, I think you should buy 2, and what time are you picking me up? And he's a pretty introverted guy. They're pretty happily married. It's been many years. So just being a little bit forward like that, especially when guys are kind of in their own little world, might be something to experiment with. Okay, so men have had to take all the risk in initiating a relationship. Okay, so let's split that risk. I think that women should signal their interest and their approachability. It could be something as simple as just when you're in a store, just looking around, not being on your phone, and just smiling at some guys. They love that. I do that. When I walk into I've been going to Starbucks again lately. I used to hate Starbucks for years. I'm kind of a coffee snob, and their coffee is too, it's really dark roasted, so it just tastes bitter to me instead of like coffee. But I've been going there and getting my flat whites, and there are all these little shops next to it, and a lot of guys going there and having lunch, and I just say hi to them. A lot of Mexican workers. I just say hi to them. They love that. They love that. So just to practice using our voice with men. Number 2, who pays and who doesn't. I like what Elderly Advice 100 had to say on this, because he says in the early dates, each person should drive themselves and pay for themselves. Why? Because some men, when they pay for you, they have this expectation that you owe them. And they may not even try to be that way, but they kind of feel like, wow, I keep paying for you, and I'm not getting anything out of it. And this avoids that. I also have heard from men who are like, I keep having to pay for these girls and they don't appreciate it. And since many women now are out earning men and we make our own money, and this also signals to the man that we're not just using him for his money. I used to pay for my own dates or go pay every other time. And after my divorce, my sister told me that I should never pay. I should definitely let the man pay. And I was very kind of gullible. I'm like, well, I don't know how to date. She's been single longer than me. And I started expecting the man to pay. But I'm going to go back to the way I've always done it, because letting a man pay is kind of like an intimate act of receiving from him. It's almost like kissing him or something, because I'm receiving from you and I'm allowing yourself to give to me. And we're not at that level yet where I'm going to let you court me. We're not courting yet. I'm still trying to get to know you. I know this goes against the mindset of some ladies who want to be courted right off the bat, but I think that would work well if you already know the gentleman. Like, say you've been working with someone, or you've been at church or the gym with someone, you already know them pretty well, and now they're like, ooh, I want to start courting you and dating you, then let them pay, right? But I think if we're just meeting someone in order to have our own individuality and not set the guy up to, why should the guy pay? You know, a lot of guys don't have that much more money than women, and I'm also feeling more for men who get totally screwed in the divorce court. You know, where a lot of men are now seeing women as a big risk. If they're afraid to approach us, it's easier to find us approachable. If they do get with us, they have to pay for everything, and then when we divorce them, half their money gets taken in divorce court, and a lot of times they don't even get to see their kids. So it's become very risky for men. And I think that we also have to think about, what are we contributing to the man? What are we contributing to a relationship? And to what extent am I looking to the man to give me something and take from him? And I think by taking on some of the burden and some of the risk, it makes us really start to feel into, to what extent am I looking for someone to take care of me rather than a partner? You know, someone who's going to approach me and pay for me and make everything easy. And it's a little bit entitled. And I didn't know it was entitled, but I'm going to say it is entitled. Because the man, I think that a lot of men get resentful about not getting sex, so to say, because they keep investing on these dates and they're not getting anything out of it. You know, and a man really, really wants to have sex or feel like sex is around the corner. It's not transactional. It's something that's really important to them. The way that we want them to pay for us, they want us to share ourselves with them physically. So by not letting them pay, we don't really have to feel obligated to give them anything. We don't owe them anything. And I think it is a lot more of a independent way, no strings attached way of getting to know each other. And that way the man doesn't overinvest, because men get resentful when they overinvest. And how can they stop overinvesting is by either having free dates or going Dutch. And when you go Dutch, and I've seen these TikTok videos, there was a gal who was all upset because she went on a ice cream date with this gentleman, and she was talking on the video about how she always offers to pay for half the date and the guys never let her, but this particular guy let her pay half the date. And she said she was upset and she never went out with him again. And then this other gal's like, yeah, if I ever, you know, if I offer to pay half the date and the guy lets me, I'll pay for the whole thing and I will block him and never see him again. That'll teach him a lesson. It's like, okay, well, maybe we need to change that expectation and not make dating be this thing where men have to, you know, mortgage their car to take us out, to prove something. Like, what are they supposed to prove? You know, what are they supposed to give us that we don't already have? What if we could just enjoy the guy and get to know him? And I really think that a good quality man, he's going to want to spoil his woman and do things for her. Now, the question often is, how can you weed out the guy who's always going to be stingy? And I think you get a good sense of that. I think that a generous man is going to at least offer to pay, or I don't know. I don't know how you find that out. Maybe you end up taking turns paying, like I do with my girlfriends. We take turns paying. With my girlfriends, I'm not friends with them because they're paying for me. I'm friends with them because I like being friends with them. So why should we be with guys just because they're paying for us? We can make our own money these days, and a lot of guys don't necessarily have more money. Now, if this is just, you know, that's just not to say that women can look for men to provide for them, or this or that, or your situation. I'm just giving a counterpoint that I don't think we hear often enough. Yeah. So in summary, the two things to consider are that instead of waiting for a man to make the first move, get off your phones, get off being online, and just start being friendly to people in real life. And ladies, we need to start taking the risk equal risk from the man, emotionally with rejection by showing him our interest, and financially by paying our half of the first early dates until we decide that we are in a situation where we want to receive from him financially, emotionally, and sexually. I think that receiving financially is close to receiving sexually. I know with my husband, he started paying for me right off the bat, and we had sex right off the bat. I think they're kind of linked. I allow you to pay for me. I allow you to into my body. I allow you into my heart. And so these all seem really linked. So the idea of just having a man pay without letting him into our hearts, I think that's taking advantage of guys. I am also trying to figure out this modern dating market is different than it used to be. And I think we have to adjust to these differences. Let me know what you think about these videos, and thank you for watching.